Good morning, all. Tuning in from Bangkok. It is your boy Cash, and as you can see, I have a mic and I have a couple notes here. As you can see by the title of this video, why it's important to do things, especially when you don't want to do them, right? And a lot of what we're gonna talk about on this channel, it's gonna be about identity shifting, right? Literally being able to shift who you were in the past, being able to be exactly who you've always wanted to be, right? I always say, what's more real, the person that you are or the person that you've always desired to be, the person that you always knew you could be, without the shade, without the mask, without the preconditioning, without the behavioral conditioning that you may have had when you were 5, 6, 7 years old that carried you on all the way into adulthood. A lot of us are still operating on 7-year-old behaviors, right? We're still operating on a 7-year-old ego, that's male or female. And what you're gonna see, especially if you just go out on the street, maybe you have situations with your family, a lot of us have not been able to upgrade ourselves from who we were in the past, and more importantly, from what other people know us to be. One of the things that human beings love to do is to put people in pattern, in, I would say, decipherable patterns, decipherable behaviors. And what I mean by that is the human mind does not like change. So when someone sees you as a certain way, they're gonna wanna keep you there unconsciously. They're not doing this consciously. They're not doing this because they're bad people. They just have an idea of who you are. And if you were to shatter their idea, it could expose certain things in them. It could also highlight places of growth for these individuals that they may not want to see, that their ego may not be ready to delve into just yet. So getting back into the whole point of this video, I digress, right? Why it's important to do things, especially when you don't feel like doing them. And again, I have 3 major reasons here. Number 1, let's get right into it, right? Number 1 is every time that you allow old beliefs, old feelings about certain situations, right? Old patterns of your ideas of growth to overcome what you need to do, right? Meaning you're afraid to do this very thing that you know is going to push you further. Let's say it's going into the gym. Let's say it's sparring. Let's say it's taking on a new job, a new endeavor, whatever it may be. Every single time that you allow old patterns and feelings to win over the desired effect, over the desired behavior, what you're doing is reinforcing in your mind that you are still that old person. And because you are operating on that frequency, you're only going to see via reticular activating system. I'll get into that here. I'll put something here at the bottom, kind of going over what that is. But essentially, right, we'll take a little brief side quest into what the reticular activating system is. And I'll give you the most simple example. If you focus on red cars, you tell yourself over and over and over, I'm only seeing red cars. I'm only seeing red cars. You only react when you see a red car. Guess what? Your mind, your reality will shift to only showing you, or rather mostly showing you, red cars. When you are operating off of these feelings, instead of allowing them to exist, being present with them and ignoring them like a cloud in the wind, by placing them on such a pedestal that you react to them and you only act on these feelings, you are pedestalizing these situations. You are allowing reticular activating system to set itself onto that vibration, onto that version of reality. So if you truly desire to shift your identity, if you truly desire to get what you want from life, you have to move forward into the things that you know you need to do in order to get ahead irrespective of what your emotions are going to be telling you, right? Because eventually those emotions will become outdated, old programs, but they will only do that if the newer program is stronger, and if your brain now sees that no matter how much it feeds you this old pattern, you simply won't react to it. Over time, not in a day, not in 2 days, not in 3 days, not when you feel like it, but over time, your reality will begin to shift towards thoughts, situations, frequencies that match up with your new updated vibration. It is extremely important to do things when you don't want to do them for that particular reason, especially if you are in the process of identity shifting, which for a lot of people could be one of the hardest things in the world. That's why I created this YouTube channel. I've done it multiple times, right? Not just once, multiple times, and we'll get into that in other videos, but I've done it a number of times. I've messed up, I've had mishaps, I've lost friends, I've lost all types of situations, right? But in return, I got my personal truth validated and my reality shifted in phenomenal ways, being able to completely change my income, completely change my surroundings, right? I'm a young man born in the Dominican Republic that lived in many states. I've seen the world, right? These were things that I could have only dreamed of in the past, but the only way that those things ever changed was by changing my thoughts, by changing internally. Your reality does not change externally. It changes internally first. There is a delay, slight delay, then it reflects, right? Your reality is a mirror. It is not a window, ladies and gentlemen, right? And then of course, for our second reason, right, why you have to do things, right? Or why you should choose to do things, right? Wording is important. Why you should choose to do things especially when you don't feel like it, is because if you are preparing for the perfect moment, you have already waited too long. When it comes to this life thing, ladies and gentlemen, you don't jump. Let's say we're going on an airplane, right? You don't jump out of the airplane with a parachute. You jump out of the airplane and you build your parachute on the way down, right? You learn things, you experience things, right? You adjust. You can't adjust for situations that you haven't experienced simply by trying to meticulously plan for everything. You have to go in there and get punched, right? Life is a contact sport. You don't go to the gym, or let's say you don't go to boxing after watching a few YouTube videos, right? You just simply don't do that, because as soon as you get punched in the face, the plan goes out the window, right? As Mike Tyson would say. So it's extremely important that we go in with a clear slate. You go in there with enthusiasm, but you go in there all the way. You go in there without trying to plan for every potential scenario. All that's going to do is take you out of the present moment, get you locked in your head, and create a whirlwind of potentially negative experiences. And they're only going to be negative experiences because you perceive them to be negative, because you didn't have a chance to pre-plan and wait for all the lights to turn green. You got to run some red lights, man, right? And then number 3, right? This is for me the most important one of being able, or the biggest reason why you should be doing things, especially when you don't feel like doing them, and that is to build self-love, self-trust, self-confidence, right? And the reason that this is going to be such a key part of what we're going to do here is because you cannot pedestalize just the good things that happen in your life. Oh, my life's only great when good things are happening. That's the only time I'm able to perform. That's the only time that I show up, when everything is perfect, right? That creates a level of attachment. It creates a subconscious fear that maybe other people don't know, but you know that when things get rough, when things get hard, when things are not in your favor, you're going to give up. And that is the most crippling subconscious feeling that creeps in. And it's so insidious, ladies and gentlemen. This sun is beaming. I don't have any sunscreen on. It doesn't matter. I'm caramel. I like to be tan. Anyway, that feeling creeps in ever so slightly to the point where you begin to manifest situations where you're put to the test. And guess what? You can't deliver because you only act when things are favorable for you. When you act despite of your feelings, despite of these negative emotions you might feel, what you're showing yourself is, I am a rock no matter what, right? I am a mountain. I am firm in my foundation. These reps that you're taking when things aren't going your way, these are the foundations. This is now your current baseline. Meaning, if you fall off the top of the hill, you land on discipline. You land on being able to perform and to act when things aren't going your way. And that is the baseline for all men, for manhood. Being able to deliver even when things aren't going your way. And guess what? As a reward for the sacrifice that you are imparting on, or that you've given to the universe, you gain the greatest skill, the greatest attribute in human history. And that is confidence. Not just confidence, learning confidence. So even when you don't know what you're doing, you still have confidence to know that I've been in these dire situations and I've made it out. I can do it again. I can learn once again. I can move forward. It's your boy Kesh, tuning in out of Bangkok. Thank you all for watching.